Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. And following on with recent reviews on champions, I'm going to bring you one on Civil Warrior. Civil Warrior is a bit of an odd champion. At the first point when the character was introduced, I was very much kind of like on the fence, actually more than likely unhappy with the idea of this character, even though it fell into the line of being in the Contest of Champions comic book lore. The fact is, having a character like this and also whole kind of aspects of his integration into the structure of the game, I did feel very much on the fence with and uncomfortable. At the point of time in the game that he was introduced, there wasn't a big need for heal blockers and as well power locking champions. So his viability and need was kind of like put on the fence for a good amount of time. It does come to a point now in the game with a lot of things like all or nothing and also champions that build up a lot of power quickly. This champion is that other power locking option that could be really essential in your roster. But before we get into the full review and have a look at the abilities and also his viability, let's give you a little bit of comic book history and keep you up to date with who this person is. The Civil Warrior armor was built by Steve Rogers following the death of his friend and rival Tony Stark. In the final battle during the Civil War that engulfed the planet, it combines parts of the prototype armor Steve collected from Tony's destroyed lab to be used both as a battle enhancement and as homage to his fallen friend and his own equipment. A version of the suit has also seen usage by Hydra Supreme as he tried to maintain control of the United States of America. The armor was created by Arnim Zola, I know that bastard again, but the fact is this one had fragments of the Cosmic Cube, which is pretty powerful. Even though this powerful suit that incorporated tech from Iron Man and at the same time using the Cosmic Cube, it was the case that a revived Captain America saved the day with a blow from Mjolnir. Since release of the Marvel Contest of Champions comic book, it's not been a case that the character has been seen much anywhere else, so it is very much rooted to that particular story and lore. It'd be nice to see something about the character in the future, but I sincerely doubt that will actually happen. I still retain my thoughts that I'm very much on the fence with the character's need to be put into the game and the kind of character's creation in general, but that's just very much my opinion. Either way, let's jump into the abilities and talk about viability on this character. In short, Civil Warrior is a good champion and a bad champion. A good champion because there's the elements of positivity when you've got a lot of heal blocking. Now, he gets class advantage against mutants and also has a signature ability that does link well against mutants. Having heal block for a lot of mutants which gain regeneration is fantastic, so you're able to stop them with a heavy attack. Pretty positive, yeah? Well, the problem is it comes with damage output, which isn't as extreme as other champions may be in the tech class and also in the current state of the game in general. Let's quickly talk about positive aspects, and that is power locking. The L2 and the L3 do give you this opportunity to power lock as well as power drain, deplete power, whatever you want to call it, from the enemy. That's pretty cool, especially considering if this is your only power control option, and there's several different ones from different classes. For example, a lot of them in the Mystic line are able to interact with nullifying and power draining, Dormammu's, Magic's, Dr. Voodoo's, the list goes on. And also when it comes to Mutant, you do have Psylocke, and there's a few in the tech class, but in particular, if you've only got this champion for power locking and power control means, then this could be a viable option. There is a positive with the armor up buff in that it helps interact with reducing down the damage from poison and bleed abilities, although I wouldn't recommend going up against anything that's biohazard, cow drops, or anything that's going to give you any pain from bleed or poison abilities from an enemy or something that's been put on as a node, because it just isn't going to work for you in the long run. But if you need a viable power control option and you've got a tech and you've only got this one, then have at it. This may be a good option for that. The more that I look at this character, the more that I think that he is built around going up against difficult mutant champions. Like Mr. Sinisters, like champions that do extensive amounts of damage off of their special attacks, that is definitely something that this character should be used for. But there are going to be some mutants that he's not going to be able to negotiate well with. For example, Omega Red, that is one of them. There could be even some issues with Iceman, but the fact is, it's still a viable option for that power locking, heal blocking, as well as special damage reducing abilities within his makeup that do make him quite viable, coupled with the fact that he could power lock and power drain the enemies. Civil Warrior does fall short, as we've said, with the current meta state of the game, whatever you want to call it, with damage output. So we're not going to expect huge amounts of damage, similar to other champions, especially with blasting, that other champions do in the tech line. That is going to output a huge amount of damage. The fact is, usefulness largely comes with defensive abilities, and even a case of getting armor up can also interact with the offensive abilities of the enemies. So in some ways he is reducing that down. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's no new synergies that have been released for Civil Warrior. There's been some that kind of touch on his light improvements with a tech synergy and also like utilizing something with Beardo. But the fact is, there's just nothing there for him. And it's my hope that they do what they did with Guillotine, which is to put an extra synergy in that is going to improve him and be one of those, yes, okay, he's going to be somewhat viable. But I don't think that is going to be the case. We're still with the opinion now that his damage output is still not up to par. So you kind of think, well, the blast technology has to be enhanced a bit more in the future. Maybe this will be a character like a double tech buff month, which I hope that Kabam can do in the future. Anyway, going back to my opinions back in 2016, so it's nearly 3 years old. I do think this champion is good for people that are starting out in the game. Say it's your first champion to get. I wouldn't knock it, because the fact is, if it is a champion you've got and you need a power control champion, you can still use this here, using your L2s and L3s in order to be able to take down the power of an enemy. It's always a good starting champion, so as I said, I wouldn't knock it. You're looking for a champion that heal blocks as well? You've got it with this champion. If you get him Awaken, he's brilliant against mutant characters. So yes, lots of viable options for this character, but it is a case as you progress through the game, you may not opt for using this guy to go up against more difficult content. In the case, has been a video looking at Civil Warrior, whether or not he's a good champion or a bad champion. I think he's a good champion, but for a different state in the game when you're just starting off. But what is your thoughts? Do you use him a lot more than that? Is he higher ranked in your roster? Let me know in the comments section below. And thanks very much for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content, and I shall catch you in the next video. Bye bye for now.